Welcome back, players and collectors, to my channel, Ren's Collectibles. As you can see, I am here joined by the one and only Grumpy Charizard. Most of you guys probably remember him from the Cardboard Addicts podcast we used to do back in the day. We're bringing back, some of the oldies and goldies here. We're going to be hitting things off with some Pokemon news today and hopefully entertaining some people.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing, Grumpy? It's been a little while.
Yeah, it has been a while. I've been good, just hiding in the weeds, out here still collecting, but remaining a mystery. How have you been?
A little bit of the same, just not as much in the weeds and hiding, but just collecting casually, more so than anything these days. But keeping up with the indie TCGs and some Lorcana and some Pokemon. But we're here. We're gonna talk about some TCG stuff, so I'm excited.
Yeah, man, it's been a while for me, so this will be a nice throwback to what we used to do.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shake off some of that rust. So am I. I mean, honestly, I haven't done a podcast style video in a little while, so
yeah,
this will be interesting. But don't you guys worry. We've got some really good Pokemon news. Obviously, one of the big things taking the Pokemon trading community, and I mean just trading cards in general, because it doesn't stop at just Pokemon. It goes to every trading card game. But I think Pokemon is going to be the most affected by the CT scanning capabilities that people have been employing recently, which is something I never thought, like, it's never been something I would ever think that people would do, but it's come out within the last couple weeks that people are CT scanning Pokemon cards to find out the hits, and it's crazy. But we got some updates on that. We're going to talk about it a little bit, and then we got some good Pokemon Worlds news, since the Pokemon Worlds in Honolulu is about a week away from the time of this recording. We're going to be talking a little bit about that and what to expect if you're going or if you're not going and all that good stuff. So,
yep.
Let's kick it off with the Pokemon CT scanning there, because I think this is, as Grumpy said pre-stream, this is the stuff more people are going to care about, I think. It's the more exciting stuff. But what have you heard, or what do you know about this CT scanning stuff so far?
So watched your video from a couple weeks ago, which clued me in on it because I hadn't been following anything that, intently. So then I looked into it a little bit, and just a lot of the same, this website had popped up and people were talking about it, that basically being the main of it. I haven't really found anyone who's done it yet, because I tried to look up videos on it, and I'm sure there has been people who've done it and maybe done videos. I just couldn't find any. But just the idea that, like they're doing the scans, and that has a high percentage chance of being able to reveal what hollows and stuff are within a pack. So obviously vintage is probably the most go-to for Pokemon anyways. I think sports would be another one that would be really affected, especially old sports packs.
Yes.
But I think that sports could be interesting, because I was thinking about modern era stuff, because I want to say in your video you had mentioned that one crew, the one that did the Trevor Lawrence card, or didn't give it away,
yeah, we actually talked about them.
Or something.
Yeah, the Backyard Breakers.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we talked about them on the podcast.
So I was thinking about that, and the only thing that I think might be challenging from a sports perspective is most of the cards have like a hollow, shimmering effect to them. So
yeah, they're kind of thicker too. So
yeah, that one could be harder to get through. But I imagine the older you go back, the more you'd probably run into that being less of a problem. But also, I don't know, like, what's actually the difference in the hollow / foil effects with the sports cards from like the special prism and this, that, and the other, because they have like all the 30 different types of hits within a pack. So that's the thing with those, I think would be interesting to see more on. But from a Pokemon perspective, I think I just don't foresee modern being as big of a reason, or big of a go-to for these as vintage would be, because it's weird, because like, so Ren has up on the screen and it's talking about some of their updates, but if you scroll down to like kind of the basic like how does it work, right there, step 1. So it says you email them with what you have and they'll send you a formal quote, but then it also says it's like what, $65 a pack or something.
Yeah, right down here.
So it's kind of interesting, because it makes you wonder why that lack of continuity, you know? Like,
that's true.
It gets kind of weird with that. And then I'm also kind of wondering, like, if you had something that was like really crazy, you know, could they be like, well, that actually costs extra and that costs this, and you know, so it just gets kind of interesting. And I had commented on Ren's video originally saying that in my eyes, if you could scan all these, you could in theory know which cards, which packs to open for yourself or sell for more, depending, however. But you would be able to basically go through what all you have and guarantee, like, okay, I'm going after the big chases, the, you know, the Charizard, the Blastoise, the whatevers, and then theoretically more of them would hit the market. So would that bring down the price of those cards, you know, for like how many hit the market? Or, but someone replied to my comment, which was interesting, and they said that in theory, though, those people could hoard those packs or, you know, the cards. But I don't know. Like, if you're in it to make money, you're in it to sell it then at that point, you know? So it's hard to say, you know?
But, you know, I wonder how many people, I don't know. So here's something I even said in that video you were mentioning is don't underestimate the stupidity of people, right? So like to most of us, it might be common sense to not do this or not buy packs that people are talking about scanning or, you know, buy from untrustworthy sources in general. But I almost wonder if people are going to start scanning them, figure out what cards are in there, and then be like, hey, this Pokemon pack is going to cost $500 because it's got a Charizard in it, but this pack over here only has the Venusaur, so it's only going to be $350.
Well, and that's the other thing too is so if you go back up to where that update was, so when you first go on this page, there's this bright yellow update, says from 8/3/2024, and it basically just goes through a lot of different stuff that they understand what's happening. They're just here for the data and the science and the results. They're not here to determine the ethical positions and all that kind of stuff, and they don't take responsibility for what basically other people do, which is all fair. I mean, technically that is the right approach to this. And they also tried to put out there that basically they didn't start this. People were already doing it in secret. Who knows? Someone had to do it first for sure. But my thing is, I guess kind of going off what you said, Ren, the interesting thing about it is, like, if you have the ability to do this at this point, you know, whether you buy your own machine, whether you pay for this service, whether you know a guy who knows a guy type of deal, whatever, if you do this and you can, say, invest in a base set booster box or, you know, a whatever, and do all that, you could, in theory, like you said, kind of sell the packs as like, hey, this is a guaranteed Blastoise, this is a guaranteed Charizard, XYZ. And then from there, if I'm buying that, and let's say I'm a streamer on Whatnot, or, you know, insert whatever sketchy streaming service for, you know, pack breaks, I could go into that being like, I have a bunch of, you know, high-end vintage, blah, 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 and then have a bunch of packs that are just weighed. Maybe they're all light, so in theory, there's no big hits in it. You sell those for, make them all the same, but you sell, like, out of 100 packs, 99 of them are these light packs, but then you know, pull on stream a Charizard for somebody. You could also make it so you know who the person is who buys it, because this is how not most, but how a lot of the sketchy Whatnot people are. Yep. And then that way it's like, okay, like me and Ren could run this gimmick where Ren gets his, you know, Dragonite pull, but then I made a bunch of money off of all these people who are just buying, you know, light packs or whatever.
Exactly.
It gets sketchy.
So, like, Whatnot, for example, because we all know that's like the sketchiest of all these streaming sites, right? Yeah. Whatnot, there's been so many problems with it. People are sitting, I've been hearing people, and even some of the comments in my video had said something like, it's not going to happen. You guys are just kind of like, I don't know, just you're afraid for nothing type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we literally see these people, these streamers, doing anything and everything possible to make a buck. The Backyard Breakers, when they pulled that Trevor Lawrence kaboom last year or 2 years ago, and they were like, this is too much money. We can't send this to you. So we're going to give you something else instead that's worth like $1,000 versus this $35,000 card. And then you see how many times have we seen videos pop up where they're like, oh, the streamer switched out the cards midstream and they got caught. And then versus how many times are they not getting caught? So anytime somebody sits there and says like, oh, that's not, don't, dude, you're worrying too much. That's not going to happen. It is happening. It's just that people haven't gotten caught doing it yet. I guarantee it. When money's involved, there's no lengths that people will are. It's pretty much anything is possible, right? People go to any lengths to make a quick buck. And it's like you said, I agree with that too. If somebody's opening up boxes and I think it's entirely feasible that, let's say we have a streamer with a base set Pokemon booster box and they're taking all the packs out and they're, shuffling them together because that's the thing that streamers like to do. And they've got, a team of people around them. What's to say they're not slipping in random packs here and there, taking random packs out to go scan while the stream is in progress and nobody knows, right?
Yeah.
Like people are slick. They are.
You can't put people past doing things. And this is the thing, is it's not that it would be everybody. It's the fact that there's people who basically have higher stakes in it, I guess. And I don't mean that as in to almost like justify what they're doing, but like if me and Ren, or Ren by himself or me by myself, whatever, if random Joe Schmo was like, hey, I'm going to go on Whatnot and I'm going to start a page and I'm going to start selling stuff. You're going to sell stuff at such a low rate, most likely. It'll take your time to grow, whatever. You're probably operating at a loss for the most part, unless you just like know somebody who can hook you up with like dirt cheap packs or boxes or whatever. And honestly, most of the time you're going to have to be, giving away bulk and doing all this stuff to mitigate the idea that people are like, well, I can go here to Joey Schmoey's house or, stream and get, 2 packs for the price of this one. And they also have so many like basic hits that they just give away those and stuff. So you have to offset this and then, slowly try to build up a community and so on and so forth. But the big ones, the backyard breaker type people that have done sketchy stuff to your face, the whole like not giving out the Trevor Lawrence, they justified that. And the person who bought the card supposedly also came out and justified what they did, because they still hooked the person up with a really worthwhile card. Like they basically left with more bang for their buck than what they, than what they put in, I guess. The card they got back was worth more than what they put in. Mm-hmm. The fact still remains, though, they pulled and earned, if you will, that Trevor Lawrence, who is Backyard Breakers as a company to be, that'd be like if you win a casino jackpot and then they're like, well, actually, though, you won it at our casino, so we take a big portion of that and you don't actually get the 700,000. You only get 100. We get 600. Why would that make sense? You won it. So like, I disagree with the logic, and I thought that was something they should have been canceled for from the beginning, but they weren't. And they're, as far as I understand, they're still going. But yeah, it's just, I think that there's going to be people who take this and run with it. I mean, honestly, the best way to go with it would probably be eBay. Hell, you could literally be like, hey, I'm selling scanned packs, and this is what the hit is supposed to be. This is a, base set Venusaur. This is a, base set whatever. And honestly, if they had enough money to invest in doing all this, they could have it where they have all of the big hits from base set, or, base set 2, or insert set, Skyridge, whatever. And price point it to the market value. Like in theory, you'd have the opportunity to then open it. You just know what's coming. It's like peeking at your Christmas present, I guess. But
what's interesting though is that I actually read a comments a couple weeks ago when I was trying to do my initial video on this. Is there somebody had posted on a Twitter feed that they would pay for a pack if they knew it had a Charizard in it, but they would keep it sealed and they would add it to their Charizard collection and say they now have a sealed pack that has a Charizard in it and they know it. So it's just kind of like it's one further step for collections too.
The thing is, though, that's risky.
Right. But because how are you going to know too?
Right. That if I scanned it, Like if I went to this machine and scanned it and got the reading, from the pack comes back out and I'm like, cool, that's the scanning, then sure, I know, but if I buy it online, I don't know anything about what's in that pack.
Like I said,
you know what I mean? You could open it, it's all G.I. Joe cards. Like,
don't ever underestimate the stupidity of people.
That's the other thing is I wouldn't be surprised if there are people on eBay and stuff who try to do that. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going to say it's a Charizard and kind of take that risk. Like, you could almost try to put it in like the fine print of like, I mean, I'm putting it out there that I scanned a whole booster box and the packs could have got mixed up, but there is a guaranteed Charizard type of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, I mean, that opens up a whole can of worms too, is like as this becomes more available and more popular, because I do think it is going to become a little bit more available and more popular. What's to stop some random person from creating an eBay account and going, "Hey, I've got all these weight packs that are guaranteed hits," and then selling them at premium prices. And then as soon as people start ripping them and find out there's GI Joe cards in them, they cancel the account and they run. I mean, we've seen that happen time and time again. This is just inviting all of that back in. Just another way to get scammed.
I think basically, to sum it up on my side of it, I think it's overall probably a relatively negative thing. I think it's a neat concept for sure. I think it's neat that someone decided to do this, figured it out, and all that, right? I think that's really cool. I am concerned long term. So this was something I think I might have left a comment on it about is long term. What does this do to the cards though? Like actually, like, going through the process, does this damage them in like 10, 15 years? Are we going to have slabs of cards that were scanned and they look crappy, because of all the exposure to stuff? And then you can tell like, okay, well, these cards were ruined. Like, that's cool, but they're no good anymore type of deal. I mean, who knows? Obviously, only time will tell. I can't imagine this is a process that's been happening for a long time, because if it was, I think there'd probably already be signs of that. I just feel like long term it's going to ruin the cards a little, even if it's not a lot. Could be wrong.
Just imagine you go to open a pack that has been guaranteed Charizard or something, and you've been holding on to it for a while. You open it up, and it's just like the card disintegrated or something.
Yeah, I mean,
or foil like ripped off of it, peeled off, or
Yeah, like I just that's the concern I would have, is because I don't think, I mean, especially like the older, way of making and stuff. I imagine there's not, because like, I mean, if you leave a card out in the sun, I'm pretty sure after a while it'll get sun bleached, and get damaged and stuff. And I mean that like if you just put it in a window and it was just getting nonstop exposure every day for a while. Now, of course, this isn't the same as that, but it's also very intense exposure, I would think. So like, I'd be curious to know, like in 10 years, what all these cards look like. We'll see. I mean, it sounds like this is a process that's happening. So, before our very eyes.
And the fact that they have prices on here, $15 per pack for imaging services, or if you want to do your pack scan, means people are buying it at these prices. And I think it said somewhere initially, I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, like right here, they had a 28,000% spike in traffic to their website, and the demand is clear. Now, I mean, assuming that's accurate and they're not just, faking it there, but which seems real to me. That means people are actually interested in it and have done it likely.
Yeah.
I imagine people aren't going to be too keen on letting it know right away until it kind of becomes more popular. Or
where I would say this could be very useful is like in Logan Paul's case, buying that sealed case. He could have immediately had this done, and it would have been like, actually, none of these are Pokemon packs.
Yeah, trying to scan the card and it doesn't look anything like a Charizard. It looks like a G.I. Joe.
Well, it says you can scan boxes. I think it's just like the more in-depth it gets, the worse the imaging gets.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it would be able to even do a whole booster box, or not a booster box, a case. Like if it'd be able to go through all that cardboard, maybe, I guess. But I'd imagine it gets a lot more like, you don't know.
Well, even it says right here it requires multiple scans, so it means it is kind of hard to get through, and they're going to have to take different angle pictures and everything just to try to piece it together.
But in his case, monetarily, I'm sure this is obviously not a problem. This.
Oh yeah.
This is more for us regular Joes, where it's like, I'll take my risk just opening it, I guess.
But imagine you're these guys here. You're this industrial place, and you get Logan Paul reaching out to you. You're not going to be like, oh yeah, it's $200 for the case. You're going to be like, it's like $20,000 to scan this.
I mean,
Joe Schmo who's going to get charged 200.
Yeah, like I think honestly, most likely you almost probably don't charge him, because realistically you let him make content out of it to put you on the map is probably the better route to go with that. But
that's fair.
That being said, you also want to make sure it works. I mean, imagine you're like, we didn't get anything on the scan.
That would be bad.
But yeah, I mean, I think that is where I would probably say it's definitely worthwhile if you're in the market for buying like vintage cases, that type of thing. That's like an extra due diligence. I will say though, when you're in that market and you're, the getting your money back is probably like easy enough in a way. Like there's such a paper trail that it's probably like, oh, okay, yeah, I just go back to Jimmy and tell Jimmy, hey, I opened the box, But the problem was, like, I think in Logan's case, he didn't want to.
Yeah, that's
true. All the what ifs got to him, so then he felt like he needed to open it. I think that's the problem. Is this would give you that ability. Someone could go and take their box that they know is not open, scan it as like basically authenticity, and then sell it, as proof type of deal.
So I mean, there could be good uses for it. Could be. I know maybe it's the pessimistic side of me, but I still think it's going to be used for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I mean, I think 99% of what we're going to see happen is probably negative. I will say if I was somebody that, let's say 15 years ago, that would be what, like almost 2010, like 2009. Mm-hmm. If I was an adult then and I was into Pokemon and had money to buy stuff, and I had bought a bunch of booster boxes, because I think it like up until more like the mid 2010s, booster boxes weren't that crazy expensive. Like
they were
relatively cheap. Off topic in a way, but I remember watching some of Super Duper Danny's like super old videos when she first started her channel, and she's like a young teenage girl. She opens a bunch of talks about going and opening a bunch of booster boxes, and like it was like $90 for a booster box. I wish,
Right. I was gonna say back in like let's say 2010, for example, I think they were only base set boxes were only like $100 and something. They weren't.
But imagine if you had bought a bunch. Like, let's say you were an adult, or if you were a kid, but you had crazy money you came about somehow, like between birthdays and whatever, and you just went and dropped a ton on that type of stuff, but you never opened it. You could be like, man, I want to open this, but I want to sell some of these packs. So, and you could scan the box or all the packs, whatever, pick out all the hollows, and then, you know what I mean? Like, and it's sketchy.
And if it's sketchy even a little bit, people are going to do it.
But, I mean, you could even sell them as like for someone's, like, I think it'd still be cool. Like, okay, you as someone who has a sealed collection, right? If someone had a base set unlimited pack, so not first edition, not base set 2, and they told you, hey, these have been scanned, I'm pretty sure there's no hollow hit in this, but I'm only selling it for $50. Would you buy it?
Probably.
I'd be tempted too. I'd probably even be tempted up to like $100 just for the sake of it being like, if they showed me the scan, showed me like somehow authenticity on it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, you're honest. So like, why, like, you know what I mean? It would make me want it for the sake of basically just saying I have an unopened base set pack. So,
and that's all it would be for, though. It's the same as if you're going to buy a light booster pack,
But at that point, like, especially like the weighing, it's like, I guess there's not guarantees to the weighing, right? It's more so just like a higher percentage chance. Yeah, but if you had scanned these packs and it was like guaranteed, like it was like, there is no doubt in my mind, this is a non-hollow pack. You might get a rare, but it's a non-hollow rare. So at that point, if you were like, man, okay, cool, I get this pack, it's $50. There, let's say out of a booster box, I don't know what the base set booster box hits rates are, but let's just say you're guaranteed like 8 holos. There's 36 packs, so there's still 28 packs left. You know, if they sold all of them for even $50, they're making a ton of money off that box.
That's true.
And then selling the other ones for, say, $5,000 as like, hey, this is a Charizard, this one's Blastoise, whatever. You know, you could still make a ton of money off that, to where, you know, the average consumer like us that can't afford the high end stuff is like, oh, cool, I can kind of win, because like I get something that it's not as meaningful, but I also would basically say for $50, even $100, if you decided to buy this, there is no real allure to opening it. There's no what if, because I mean, assuming you trust the person, but like,
yeah, then you already know.
Yeah, so there'd be basically just like, cool, this will stay in my sealed collection, and I like the fact that it's sealed type of deal. That's cool. So I could see that being cool. I don't think people, like 99% of the people that have the ability to scan these packs, probably not going to operate that way. That would be more if you knew a person, you know what I mean? Like if you knew someone who was sitting on a base set box and they were just like, I want to crack it open and see like what I can get. I'll hook you up with some of these packs if you want for like a super cheap price or something. But how many of us know people like that?
Right, so, exactly.
You know.
But you know, it's interesting though, because I have it even on the screen here. It goes a little bit further than that too, because you could do it for modern stuff now as well.
100%.
While it's not reasonable at all, like you're gonna spend more money running the machine than it's worth to scan these newer packs. I imagine people are going to continuously try to find ways to do it for cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, to a point where I think we may have a problem with modern packs, because it even shows here like Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh is different because a lot of their rare cards have like that gold foil text on their cards. So like you can clearly see that. And then Digimon, I don't know what I'm looking at here on Digimon, but you can kind of see some of the text and you can kind of see the image there.
Well, they do the same thing with modern. The vintage for Digimon might have been a little different. But I was thinking, most of those cards, though, for those two anyways, don't have crazy value. So like even Pokemon's modern
Yu-Gi-Oh does.
For modern though?
Yeah, so playable cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, like a standard deck in Yu-Gi-Oh can go anywhere close to $1,000 for just like a standard deck. So if you get, let's say this Dominus Purge that's right here is, you know, one of the best playable cards, and now you've got it in like a foil, or if it's only in foil and this is in, it's a $300-400 card. I mean, people are going to be doing that left and right. I mean, people are already going to Walmart just to rip the packs open on the shelf and dump it if it's not got anything on it. So I imagine they're going to do it for this too, if they had the means to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a good point. I think I was just thinking with like Pokemon, I know that especially Japanese, you know, when those special art SARs and stuff like that, or was it SIRs? I can't remember which one.
SIRs,
yeah. But when those hit the market, you know, there's some that get real crazy. So I could see where, like, especially those, I think One Piece has some that do that too, where they get real crazy. And then Lorcana,
some of these cards are, well, the One Piece is the TCG, the modern TCG. I think it would happen to the most if it's going to happen to it, because these manga cards are like these super secret rare cards go for, you know, $400, $500, $600, where, you know, like a modern Pokemon card, the best one in a set might only go for $100.
Well, but then that same rate, imagine like Lorcana, you know?
Yeah. The only difference with Lorcana, I think it's going to be the first chapter is the only real set that people would do this to, because they've increased the rates, not the pull rate, but they've increased the amount of enchanteds in each set that they've put out there. And they've also devalued enchanteds by putting like spell cards and location cards and stuff as enchanteds now. So there's like some $30-40 enchanted pulls you can get versus the first chapter, which has that $1,000 Elsa.
The other thing I was thinking too with Lorcana, and I can only speak on Lorcana a little bit extra because I've, you know, actually collected it and stuff, is the availability of the product. So as the sets have come out, they're a lot easier to get. I mean, shoot, some of the more recent stuff has actually been like less than MSRP. Like almost all the product you can get for less than MSRP. So I know that probably alleviates some of it too. Now, One Piece I can't talk about because I don't know, but I have seen videos from other creators that like basically talk about how people are consistently buying out the shelf when it hits, So
Oh yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's situational because I think Lorcana is situational too. But One Piece, the week that a set releases, is the only week I see One Piece, and then I don't see it again until the next set drops.
Well, in Lorcana, see, I haven't been finding anything in stores for anything because like my local stores still just don't stock anything. But I have been buying online. So like the only time Lorcana I see it come and go like immediately is the first chapter. And honestly, even Into the Inklings has been selling pretty fast now. But I think it's because it's not hitting restocks. It's more so just like, well, I guess it'd be restocks, but not like in a reprint fashion. More like,
It's just their back stock.
Yeah, like this has been hitting the market again, and then it sells pretty fast because I haven't been trying to like stock up on anything. I've just been trying to buy like a box here and there to like kind of just always have a box from each set. And like I've been trying to buy every so often. I'll have my one of my accounts I follow, the disc trackers that I've told you about. They have like the first chapter booster boxes will restock on Amazon. And the way they post the link is it's like a direct add to cart. And I'll get all the way to the point of like, okay, like let me check out. And then it's like, sorry, this sold out. And I'm like, Q. Yep. And they're for like the $143. So I imagine they're stocking like a handful at a time and that's it. So
it seemed like because that's actually how I got my Rise of the Floodborn box, was through Distractors putting something out there through Amazon, but it was the official Ravensburger store, that sold it. So I got that one at MSRP, but I feel like I saw somewhere where somebody said like they only restock 50 at a time. Some small amount.
And if, two of us Joe Schmoes are operating off of like the alert coming through, how many are also on the, bot side of it? So like they immediately see it, add to cart and purchase. But
that's true.
But yeah, I mean, and this is another thing too, is each card, Pokemon, Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, they all probably go about their holos and stuff a little differently, especially the Bandai stuff. So Digimon, Dragon Ball, all that kind of stuff. So I do wonder, it'd be cool to do like okay, we scanned all of these packs and then basically set them aside just to see what would happen in 10 years to see like the longevity of the cards, like the effects. Because I can't imagine that all of them will be unaffected. It feels like something would happen. I don't know what, and I don't know how bad,
We're going to be disappointed in 10 years when somebody actually does this, and in 10 years they open it up and you're like, it's just a normal pack.
It very well could be. I mean, I guess I wouldn't be surprised either. Like, I'm not saying I expect it to be like really bad. If you were scanning the same pack over and over, I think for sure you'd be like overexposing it, but probably just a basic one-time scan. Probably not like that bad. I could see it being slightly discolored though. Like there being like almost like a very minimal noticeable effect.
Yeah. I don't know. My thought is that I just feel like it's gonna like curl the cards, or it's gonna like physically damage the cards to where or maybe it dries them out or something to where they are not flexible. And I don't know. That's where my mind goes when I think of it, though.
Well, and that's why I was saying I'd be curious to know from like a difference in the makers too, because like Yu-Gi-Oh cards tend to seem like they get damaged a lot easier, and they seem to warp a lot too. So like I'd be curious just to see kind of how that aged, after getting exposed versus like vintage Pokemon versus modern Pokemon versus, you know what I mean? Just all of them, I would be interested in seeing kind of the longevity. I mean, it could very well, like I said, be nothing, be super minuscule, be not a problem. I just don't see how, I guess. But at the same time, I have, it's not like I'm a CT scan expert. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm not a part of the medical field or nothing to actually have like okay, I understand how all this is working and stuff.
Well, and I think the other thing is though too is that when you're using a CT scanner on a person, you're scanning organic material. Where when you scan a card, you're not really scanning organic material.
But see, and that's the thing. When I did a brief lookup of it, it basically said it like if you for a person, obviously, it would make your body a little bit more susceptible to cancer, right? Obviously, you're not going to give cancer to an inanimate object, but
Right.
I'm just curious, like if UV light, so light from the sun, can discolor the card, what can radiation do?
Right.
And like a high intensity scanning of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially if you do it multiple times, like you said.
yeah, like I mean, in theory, I guess I could see the risk for boxes, like because they were saying basically they have to do multiple scans and that sort of stuff. So at that point, I mean, you very well could be running the risk of damaging something. How bad, is to be, remains to be seen. But
Yeah.
still, that's another. I mean, don't take anything for granted because you just never know. You know what I mean? Like you could very well take the, hey, I scanned this and then I scanned it again and again and again just to verify it's definitely a Charizard or something. And then it's unrecognizable card after a while because, in like months or years, it's just so deformed and discolored and stuff.
I just can't. All I'm picturing is if you ever get a hold of this technology, you're just gonna like 30 times a day scan a pack just to see how badly you can damage a card.
Now what I'm curious from like a because obviously collecting has become pretty normalized. There's got to be someone in the medical field who has access, who's like, got to fire up the machine anyways, slips on a pack, scans it.
Well,
Like,
I mean, so think about it this way though. How did they discover it? Like who sat there and thought CT scanning Pokemon
well,
cards works?
so I was looking through their site and they have a bunch of different stuff they scan. They do 3D model scannings and all kinds of stuff. So they probably kind of went down a rabbit hole. If I were to guess, if I were to just take a wild stab in the dark, they scanned something and somebody along the lines, within their group basically was like, oh, like, and probably scanned a random pack, not, they didn't come in with the vintage pack.
I like my theory of some doctor was performing a CT scan on a patient said, yeah, let me just stick my shoe in there real quick. Oh, and by the way, I have a Pokemon pack in here. Let me see what it's like.
Yeah. Well, see, and I know like I've never gotten one, but I'm pretty sure when you get an actual CT scan, you're supposed to be like in a gown, right?
Yeah.
Like all your clothes, no metal. Um, I don't know. I'm guessing, like I said, this company, they might have been who actually started it, but who knows? But it seems like they probably somehow went down a rabbit hole. Like people were scanning different things for different reasons, and then realized the potential at some point, and basically were like, oh, and then put like a random,
We can
probably a
make money
modern
off
pack.
this.
Probably put a modern pack in there. Like they probably either overheard or came across someone talking about the idea of like weighing packs and all that, and then someone was like, huh, "We don't need to weigh them. We can look inside."
Yeah, we could just scan them.
Yeah.
That's probably the realistic way too. Is like if you're using a CT scanner for other things, it detects the metal and all that, the minerals. So it's somebody probably was like, hey, this foil is obviously made out of some kind of mineral here. Let's see if it shows up.
I mean, and
There you go.
I'd be curious from like a almost like a cost perspective because I
Yeah,
imagine they use a huge draw on electricity,
probably. But
like
the
disregarding the
fact
cost for the machine, just the cost of the electricity.
the fact that they're only charging $75 a pack though makes me kind of believe that if they run it one time for a single pack, it probably is not costing them more than like $10 to scan it, which I mean is a lot in the grand
Well,
scheme of things. But
the other thing is, right, I have no idea. I'm just thinking about your body, and I'm sure essentially it's a some sort of laser that goes and scans. Your body is big. How many packs does your body take up space-wise?
that's true.
So in theory, if they're charging you $75 and they charged me $75, and they charged all our friends $75 to do this one pack we all have, why couldn't they just be like, well, we laid them all out on the table, scanned them
Well,
all
I
at
mean,
one
if
go.
they're smart, they are doing that. They're just taking multiple orders, putting little sticky notes on them or something so they can differentiate them and scanning them all at once, so they're saving a ton of money.
Honestly, what does it even matter if you make sure you know whose is whose?
You just send a picture and you got like 4 packs, but don't mind those other 3. Yours is the far one on the right.
Right. Like, I would say that would be sketchy if it ever did come out that way, because you know what I mean? Like, but I'm just thinking out loud, like, why couldn't they do that though?
Yeah.
Because I doubt it costs $75 to do one scan. Like, obviously, it's probably way less. But
if it costs $75 to do a scan, then they're only giving you the services at cost. That means they're not making anything. So they're certainly not doing that.
But I can't imagine. I would think from running the machine, right? The draw, I'd imagine it's, a machine you don't just plug in and scan immediately. You probably got to let it build up power, get warmed up, whatever. I'd imagine it probably, like, realistically, one general use costs like $5. So if you're pocketing about $70, but if you're also pocketing way more than that because you're putting a handful of orders on a table together and not doing one scan per order, you're probably making a ton of money at that point. I mean, we already probably assumed they were making a ton of money off this, but it's just like the reality is probably greater than we even understand.
Yeah.
Especially as it gets popular.
Exactly. And like I said previously, if it's going to make somebody money, they will go to great lengths to make that money. So,
oh, no doubt.
Yeah. But we have one more thing we're going to talk about on the stream, and it is none other than Pokemon Worlds in Honolulu, Hawaii, where I would love to be going, but I am not, unfortunately.
Me neither. We do know at least a couple people going. Artemis is going.
Yes.
I think High 187 is going.
I believe so.
That's the only 2 I know off the top of my head.
There was somebody else that I was talking to recently who said they were going to go. I don't know if they got tickets to actually go to the Worlds thing or if they were just going to Hawaii at the same time, but it was one of those situations.
Yeah, and that was the interesting thing. I think Artemis is who had put me on to this having happened. But I want to say this, and it's probably kind of, I guess, sort of makes sense in a way, because Hawaii obviously it's a collection of islands, I believe, but none of them are massive per se. So space is limited. So like their expo center type stuff is probably not nearly as big as, say, ones in like Miami or Florida in general, Texas, whatever. But anyways, I believe they had a thing where you basically had to enter a lottery to be picked as getting a ticket to get in the actual convention, which is kind of crazy because there's a lot of planning to this, as far as like hotels and flights and travel stuff in general,
Well, and it kind of makes sense now that I'm actually thinking about it, because I follow a lot of professional Pokemon TCG players, and it makes sense why they were so like dead set on you have got to win a regional tournament to get that automatic bid to the World Championship. Like the previous 2 years, it's obviously been a big deal, but it wasn't like, I've not seen people go like so hard at it as these guys did this year. And now it kind of makes sense that you say that out loud. I'm like, oh, I wonder if it's because they were going to have to get put into the lottery system. I can't imagine somebody like Tord Reklev who doesn't win a world or doesn't win a regional, but then he's going to get put into a lottery system and doesn't get that lottery. And now he can't attend Worlds when he's arguably one of the best Pokemon TCG players of, this decade.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know.
Well,
it would make me stressed out too.
I would think, and I could be totally wrong on this, but especially if you're high in the TCG world of it, like a competitive TCG aspect, I would think you might have like a little bit of special treatment. Because I know they have a slew of commentators. Some of them are like always commentators. I've seen a few people that are recognizable from different regionals and like Worlds last year and stuff like that. So some of them are no surprise to see. And then it seemed like there was even more, but I could be totally wrong. It just seemed like they had a nice variety. So maybe some of them, they could have gotten pulled in for that. But I'd imagine you might get special treatment as a, high ranking competitive TCG person. Probably. Even if you didn't win anything, if it was like just, bad luck of the draw type of deal. Who knows? I would think though that like they might have that kind of like, oh, yeah, we know that's so and so. Like we're not going to not let them in.
I don't know. I'm thinking about it, and it's like, yeah, you would want to, because you obviously want your best and most premier trainers to get there, and of course, you still have to get the mandated 600 championship points.
Well, I don't even mean from like the tournament perspective. I'm thinking almost more so just for them to be even able to go. Like if they were like, hey, I want to go, like I'll pay for my hotel, pay for my flight, all that kind of stuff. Just don't make me not be able to get in. Like, don't put me into the regular lottery thing. Because there's only going to be a handful of people like that. Like I imagine most of them probably actually earned their way to being invited. So the handful that didn't probably, they're not going to like not let them go at all.
It's just it's a weird, it's like a weird scenario because Honolulu is probably going to be a lot more cap, like it's going to be maxed out at a lower cap than probably any other worlds in the last few years, right? Because again, like you said, it's a small cluster islands. It probably can't hold as many people in one area like that. I would imagine.
I was even thinking about Japan last year, though. I don't know how the sizing of the islands compares, but obviously Japan is an island.
Yeah, Japan is larger,
like by a lot.
Well, it's also one central landmass too, so it appears it would appear larger.
Yeah,
I mean it is larger, but it's going to appear a lot larger too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, but the other point to this is the game has grown exponentially over the last couple of years. So there's more people playing now the Pokemon TCG, well, even the VGC and Pokemon Go and all that, because they're doing those competitively too. There's more people playing these games competitively now than there was 4 years ago. So it's like, it's weird, like that the capacity has gone down because of this specific location, but the demand has gone skyrocketing. So it's just like they're kind of in this weird trajectory right now. So I almost wonder how that works. I almost wonder if maybe they're.
The other thing too is like I imagine as time has gone on, content creation has gone up too. So you have
that's true.
A slew of people who don't follow the TCG from a competitive or VGC or anything like that. They just are basic collectors and they want to go and just, be in the moment of the worlds and experience it and everything, which there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I did basically just that back in 2019. I just imagine though, like it's going up and up and up how many people are trying to do that. And then, so, you have that. I don't know, obviously, like the location for this event, how it compares. I've only been to the one and it was in DC, and that seemed like a pretty big place. And I would imagine there was, thousands of people for sure, but like, I don't know how there was no lottery system to get in. Like I just bought a ticket, So well, it was low key in that aspect.
When you think about it back then though, I don't want to say that the game wasn't as popular as big. It wasn't as popular or big, but even spectating, I don't think was a huge deal. You even think content creation wise, there wasn't that. 2019 was when people started, like you and I started creating our channels, and that's kind of like the boom. So, I feel like we would have missed that Worlds era.
That's exactly what I was going to say though, is because like Pokemon Go obviously had been out for a few years by the time I went to Worlds, and they did do a segment on it. They actually had Ando Unlisted Leaf come out, and that was weird that he was one of the competitors. But I think they were trying to obviously kind of
they didn't have real competitors at that point.
Well, they definitely did. It wasn't the same because people like what was his name, Mystic, and
and then you had like Trainer Tips and
all those people were definitely like they had channels, because I was kind of watching what they were doing as I was getting a lot more into Pokemon Go at that time and stuff.
But they weren't like competitors.
No, they just were big into like the game itself.
They're kind of like the real Breaking Nates and Leonharts of that sphere, where like they're big content creators, but they're not really like competitive.
And so I think that they were trying to basically take some of the best PvP people at Pokemon Go that at that time, because the guy who won it, the little tournament, it wasn't a huge tournament. It was like out of like 8 people or something like that. But the guy who won it, I can't remember his name now. He was really good, but obviously it wasn't like it was like a 300 person tournament type of deal like like the Worlds ends up being or whatever. But when he won it, his following wasn't massive per se. And then Ando had like 2 million subscribers on YouTube for Pokemon TCG stuff, obviously. And so I think it was kind of like trying to play into that.
Yeah, just spread the word more.
Yeah. And so now, obviously, from a competitive standpoint, there's probably a ton of big people. It seems like a lot of the Pokemon Go content dropped off a little, but that's another conversation. But
yeah. Well, that has less to do with Pokemon than it does the company that runs it, Niantic.
Yeah. But this is like Ren was saying, there's 3 different championships. So the TCG, the VGC, and the Pokemon Go now. And so you have 3 different opportunities. Now, I am curious from Pokemon Go's perspective. I've never seen anything about basically how to get into that.
I don't really know either. I know if you open the game up, there's a ranked battle system in there.
Oh, but true. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that might be how.
I don't play Pokemon Go very often, and I couldn't even tell you the last time I've ever done like an actual battle in Pokemon Go.
Nah, so yeah.
I don't know how the ranking system works. I don't know how you earn points. Because even like VGC, I feel like you have to participate in certain events to earn points, like you would go into a game store to earn points, championship points for the TCG. I have no idea how it works for Go. So, but there's got to be some kind of point system. Otherwise, I imagine they're running a lottery system, maybe, but that doesn't seem efficient. So,
well, because I would think so, and I maybe and I don't, but if you're officially invited from Pokemon for the Worlds, like if you're one of the big competitors, do they fly you out and stuff?
I don't think so.
So you just get a ticket, basically, like here's your chance if you can make it, type of deal.
I mean, I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong. I think if you're a regional winner or if you're what is the international winner, then I think they pay for your hotel, your travel, all that good stuff. Okay. I think it's just part of your winnings is you get those perks.
Okay.
On top of the automatic bid. If you hit your 600 points and you get invited to the Worlds, I don't think they pay for anything other than
just get free entrance.
You just get to enter and participate in this tournament. I think the travel and everything is still on you.
Because I was thinking about that, and because I know the TCG is obviously the biggest part of this. The VGC and the Pokemon Go now I think are much smaller aspects, and so I was just thinking about that too, because I was like, man, at some point, like we're like for Pokemon Go especially, like however they do their rankings, but like where do you draw the line? I guess you know what I mean. As like who are you giving invites to, and then also do you pay for anybody at that point? Because
well, and it you know if you think about it too, so you have what? Let's say I think the Indianapolis regional, because that's the one I can think of on the top of my head, had like a 2,000 person limit for the TCG. I want to say it had like 1,000 person limit for the VGC. I don't know if they actually filled that up or not. I feel like they probably did, but and then Pokemon Go, let's say, is like 500. So right there, you've already got 3,500 seats for the capacity, going towards the capacity of the building and the event, just for the competitive players. Then you get the judges and all of the
staff.
Yeah, so let's just say 4,000 people for that event. I don't know how many, like what the fire code capacity is for that event, but then you got to think how many spectators were there. Because people come not only just to spectate the events, but to actually play the side events too.
Yeah.
So you're probably, I would estimate at least another 1,000 to 1,500 people just to spectate. So you're trying to make room for all of them.
Yeah, and the other thing too is to keep in mind with these is they're typically some sort of destination. You know what I mean? So obviously being more native to like the DC area, I didn't look at DC as a big destination, but it's obviously where our nation's capital is. So there's a lot of tourism for that alone. So I know from a content creator / meeting up with friends type of type of deal, you had a lot of, hey, I just want to show up for the vibes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't necessarily care as much about all of this stuff. It's cool to see and to like take pictures and interact a little, but I'm also just here for the vibes. So I imagine that, especially at Hawaii, is probably going to be a huge thing too. Because I'm pretty sure there's definitely people who are like, I'm going regardless because there's going to be meetups and stuff. Like, I may not get into the event.
Hawaii.
Right. So I think that it's a lot more, in this case, I almost wouldn't be surprised if it was like almost just as big outside of it as it is inside, because you'd have a ton of people that are going to be like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm going regardless because I'm going for a week. So.
Right. And that's the thing that's like, that's kind of the interesting piece too, is if they're capping the event so there's not very many people allowed to go and spectate or participate or whatever, but you've got the most content creators for the Pokemon sphere as you've ever had before. You've got arguably the largest following for Pokemon right now as there's ever been. And it's a destination location. It's Hawaii. You figure there's gonna be a ton of people who don't get tickets who still are gonna go, and you're gonna get the content creators that go, and they're I have to imagine there's gonna be meetups for all that outside of the event and all that, like you're saying. So
yeah,
it's got to be one of those things where they know, like people know, there's gonna be more to it than just the actual championship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the beautiful thing, one of the beautiful things about the internet is how connected you can be at all times. And I think with the content creation, with just social medias, so not really specifically about content creation in a sense, but just having accounts where you follow people that are creators and whatever, it's gone a long ways that you can kind of look at like, oh, these people, I've been able to talk to them for months and months, years, whatever, and interact with them. So, like I said, just going off the vibes and stuff alone, I'm sure there's going to be so many people that are like that, just wanting to experience Hawaii, experience hanging out with friends, kind of doing all those things. Kind of like any of the conventions. Obviously, this will be a lot less collect-a-con, selling, buying. Not that it can't happen, but they're not going to have vendors and stuff like that. The vendors, I mean, they might have some vendors, but it'll all be like specifically Pokemon, specifically sanctioned stuff. Like,
and it's all going to be within the building that you're going to have the pass for anyway.
Yeah, like one of the cool things, I will say this, one of the really cool things is they'll have their own pop-up Pokemon Center shop. And that you get a whole bunch of exclusive stuff. When I went, I don't know if I have it. I think it's buried in there, but I got the Pikachu plush that was like Pokemon Center exclusive specifically for Worlds, and like a shirt and stuff like that. So they'll have all that. I know they did it for, actually, I know they have it for the Bear Walker thing. We'll look through this site.
That's true.
But yeah, they have the Bear Walker board that's themed for the Honolulu thing. So there's going to be a lot of cool stuff that if you're going, obviously it's expensive, but if you want to think about it this way, you're already out there paying probably thousands of dollars to be there. Might as well ball a little more,
That's right.
What I would say is go with basically the clothes you're wearing and figure out how to get everything back. Don't take anything with you, just buy.
Go there empty-handed, leave with everything.
Yeah, take an empty suitcase. If they ask why, just be like, it won't be empty when I'm coming back, baby. And
going to a place like Hawaii, most people assume you're going to leave with a lot of stuff, mostly contraband, but stuff.
Yeah, that heads up. If you try to bring like fruits and stuff, for whatever reason, they will not let you. You will have to discard all of that from your person in the airport.
Organisms.
Yeah, they won't let you take apples or anything. So don't try it. have to throw it away. But your Pokemon stuff should be fine. I don't think that they're gonna.
Hopefully they don't throw that away.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot with this that would be cool to experience. If you're watching, Ren's going through the page a little now. This right here is interesting. So if you've ever played fantasy football, fantasy baseball, fantasy blah 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 sport, it seems like they're basically doing that. You can click and I guess kind of like assemble who you think is going to do well, and I assume it somehow tracks. I imagine you have to have a Pokemon account to probably fully register everything, but yeah, they have this, and I think it's new. I don't remember hearing about it last year.
I have never seen anything like this, so this is kind of new to me too.
Grand prize is a life-size Arcanine.
So I don't know. It doesn't really explain what it is, right? And maybe down here. Oh, here. So yeah, you register, you log in with your Pokemon Trainer Club account and agree to the fantasy terms, conditions. Build your fantasy teams. You choose Pokemon cards you want to include in your Pokemon TCG fantasy team, and or the Pokemon you would include in your VGC fantasy team. Scores are determined by the number of cards and or Pokemon from among your selections that appear in place in the top 8 teams. So you're basically just trying to guess which cards are going to make it in the top, whatever. So if you're going to
you're not even picking people, you're picking the cards.
Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you guys now, if you're going TCG, you're not picking Charizard and you're not picking Gardevoir, you're going to have a bad time. I'm just saying that now. Those are going to be the ones that dominate the top 8.
Now, VGC and Pokemon Go are in it too, right?
Yes, but it only says for the Pokemon cards you want for the Pokemon TCG Fantasy or the Pokemon you want to include for the VGC. So it's only those two. But if you finish among the top 100 participants in either category, you will receive additional prizes mailed to the address registered to your PTC account.
Oh, so it says in either category. So I would think you could mix and match or build teams for both.
Maybe? Yeah, it says and or. So I'm imagining. Well, I don't know if it would be part of the same team or if it would be. Right. I guess if it's like, hey, you could fill your team with 10 slots, you could do all 10 TCG or all 10 VGC, or you could do a mix of both.
Now, I'm curious for the TCG aspect, if you have to pick like, Charizard EX, or
it's probably going to be Charizard. Specific. Well, the fact that it says you would pick your Pokemon cards, I feel like it would have to be specific. Like, you would pick Charizard EX from Obsidian Flames.
Well, because then I was thinking, like, at that point, are you picking any of the Charizard EXs like that would potentially be used, or would it have to be you know what I mean? Because at that point, like, are they going to be like, well, there's the rainbow, there's this, there, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I feel like that might open up a can of worms if they do it this way, because there's some cards that, like Charizard, have multiple variations of Charizard that could potentially reach the top, and then
that's what I was kind of getting at.
Yeah, something like Gardevoir only has one card that's viable that you're going to see. So if you don't pick Charizard and you pick Gardevoir, you have less chances of winning, even though Gardevoir might arguably be the better pick because it's more likely to get to the top 8.
So the first 10,000 registrants in the US and the first 2,000 registrants in Canada will receive a discount code to get 10% off their next Pokemon Center order. So that's probably already filled, I would think.
Yeah, I'm sure that's filled.
But look, I mean, I'm almost kind of interested in trying that now. Not for that
I might do it
but
too.
Just in general. Because I mean, imagine you did win first place and you got that jumbo Arcanine.
Well, and this is the first year they're doing a fantasy team, so it's like you might as well do the fantasy league, right?
Right. I mean, it's free, and it's all basically just putting your shoe in to see if you could win. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, worst case is you don't, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you lose, which is, let's be honest here, is the most likely scenario anyway. You're most likely not going to make the top 100.
I will say,
it's just that's what it is. It's fun. It's a learning experience.
I haven't been following as much, but this is the first I've actually heard of it. Literally right before the stream, Ren and I had pulled this up, and then I saw this. Both of us were new to seeing this, so this could still be pretty unknown. But
I haven't seen any content creators at all talk about this. So pre-stream, like Grumpy said, when he had mentioned it, and I was like, "What is this? This is different."
So You might have a chance. By the time you're seeing this, probably not, but you never know. Like someone could have still like not done it, and then you have a chance to get your foot in the door to be like one of the first 10,000 registrants.
But if not, still join anyway. We're gonna join. I mean, who knows? Maybe one of you guys end up being a top 100 fantasy team contestant, and you can comment back here after a week or so and let us know if you win.
Yeah, I mean, definitely let us know if you entered for one. Don't put who you built your team around. You don't want to give anybody any ideas, but if you did win anything, definitely come back and let Ren know. I'll try to check the comments too just to see. But
well, yeah, even if he doesn't, I'll let him know. So
yeah, I mean, top 100 gives you good odds. Like you figure, if there was only 10,000 people, what is that like with the 1%? So it's, I mean, it's low, but like not that low if you think about it.
But it's like if you go to a regional and you're playing, you could make day 2, even on your first time ever playing, you can make day 2 because some people have. So I mean, it's kind of like similar odds.
Yeah.
But what's great about this, though, if you do, is you receive a World Celebratory Pikachu promo card, which I think is the same one that the Pokemon Center is passing out anyway, right?
Yeah, this bad boy right here.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so it is. Is that foil?
No.
Oh, it's just the plastic.
Yeah.
Shiny.
Yes.
All right. Well, you're gonna get the promo anyway, so it's it's free. Who cares? You're gonna get a Pokemon TCG Scarlet and Violet Stellar Crown booster box display. So you're getting an entire booster box of Stellar Crown, which is not the special holiday set of the year, by the way. Don't make that mistake I made.
Yeah. What is it? Shrouded Fable or something?
Yeah, it's hot garbage. I'm going to be completely honest. It is a straight trash set. That's my opinion only. You go out there and enjoy it if you enjoy it. But I thought for the longest time Stellar Crown was supposed to be the special set, and I found out recently that it was not. But then you also get a Pokemon Lazy Summer Spheal Beach Ball, so you can get a nice, cool little beach ball as well.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. It gives you a thought, I guess.
Yeah. But you could be participating for the grand prize. It says the first place fantasy team contestant participants in the Pokemon TCG and VGC categories. Oh, so I guess they are separate categories. So you could do 2 different teams.
Yeah. I'm going through the process right now just to look. So, like, for example, you get 6 cards and 6 of the VGC. And so, like, it gives you all the options for the cards. But, like, I looked up Charizard because it gives you, like, search bar, and there's only 2. So there's the Charizard EX that's dark, and then the Charizard EX fire.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So there are options.
So it is going to be card specific.
A little, not crazy. Like it doesn't go into like, well, this is the full art. This is, so there's at least that.
Yeah.
And then interesting. The VGC fantasy team, your first choice is choose 1 restricted legendary Pokemon. And I think it's all of the legendaries. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 33. I don't know if that's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 33.
Well, they're rows, so they were rows of 5. That's what I was counting.
I'm like, that went up real fast.
Yeah. No, so I think it's all of them, or at least a vast majority of the actual legendaries. So something to think about. I think it means it's full Pokédex too. So, nice. Which I was curious because it's Scarlet and Violet, and I know Scarlet and Violet wasn't originally full Pokédex. Full national is right. National Pokédex.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because they would be battling with the Scarlet and Violet games. So,
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a DLC coming for it.
It says points are granted for each selection that appears in the top 8 Masters Division decks and teams for the Pokemon video games, respectively. Participants may only win once. If a participant wins both categories, only the higher placing category will be counted, and they will be removed from the scoring pool for prize determination in the other category. That's kind of cool. In a way, it kind of sucks. But yeah, if you were someone who was like really on it, like kind of knew what was going to happen, type of deal. You know, you can't win twice, so it kind of gives you a chance.
Good though. Yeah, exactly. It gives somebody else a chance to win too. But again, realistically, I would not expect anybody to get their hopes up on winning this, because that's a pretty tough thing.
What would be interesting? Oh, okay. So it almost looks like you only have. Oh, you get one EX Pokemon. So like, if you pick Charizard, what is the next pick? Choose one Pokemon V. Oh, okay. So it kind of walks you through. You're kind of limited in a way. So like for the V Pokemon, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 37 choices. 31 choices. And that does include V stars as well. Not only V stars.
And then it's for the top 8. So you'd almost have to predict Pokemon that you're going to see the most in the top 8. So
I guess don't people have to register their decks?
Yes.
So in theory, couldn't you just go through and look at all the decks in a sort of like?
They don't tell you until I think the day of. Like once the tournament started, I think that's when they break down the percentages of, hey, 20% of people brought the Charizard EX deck variation.
Yeah, and it says you have to complete at least one of these teams before August 16th, so before the day of the competition starting. So I guess
a couple days left.
Yeah, I guess if you want to start DMing the top dogs and being like, hey, what kind of deck are you running? You could, but you only get a choice of 6 for both. So, definitely, I guess, kind of just look at what the metas are. I mean, that's probably what I'm going to do after we get off this.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like I said, there's no risk to doing it. It's a free entry. You might as well do it because you could win this ginormous Arcanine, a booster box of Stellar Crown, and some other goodies. So it's worth it, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, literally the worst, I guess the worst it could be is if you wasted your time doing it. That's about it.
Yeah, but honestly, if this is something that they see a lot of, I guess, play in, then maybe I don't know, maybe they do more of it in the future and it expands and it grows. Maybe the fantasy side of it is just starting.
I think it's kind of a fun little add-on when you think about it. The fact that it's free to do, but also like the prize pool is so little for how much traffic it probably brings in. So you figure like that first 10,000, 12,000 total, if you think about it, get 10% off their order, right? So let's just say all of them or majority of them actually do that. How much money they just made by creating a free thing,
That's true.
So something to think about. I don't know. The third selection for the cards is one Pokemon without a rule box.
Okay.
So like you have like Archeops, Articuno, Baxcalibur, so on and so forth. It goes in alphabetical order too, but
yeah, it's your non-special EX or V or whatever. But that's kind of interesting. That's a very interesting way. I almost wonder if they have rogue decks. If there's the possibility of any kind of rogue deck entering and winning, and it's not part of that. I wonder how they handle that.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they like the next one is ancient or future Pokemon, so they have a little bit of everything, honestly.
And it's gonna be that Roaring Moon. That's the one that's gonna make it.
Guaranteed. Thanks for telling me.
As you're telling me all these different categories, I'm sitting here going, "Oh, I know which card is going to be. I know which card it's going to be."
Yeah, the next one is choose 2 newcomers. So you got to choose 2 from this, and it's like these all look random. Like I've seen the cards, but I don't know anything about it. So
I wonder if one of the categories is going to be for A-Specs, because that's the wild card. That could be truly anything.
No, so I've got 4 cards so far, the last 2, and it says choose 2 newcomers. So that would be the last 2.
Interesting.
And none of those are in there.
That's what I probably would have done, is been like pick an A-Spec, because depending on the deck you're running, you're not going to have the same A-Spec.
Right. And I guess the problem though, there's not that many of them, right? Was there maybe like 12 right now?
No, I think there's like 20 or something.
Really?
Right, because there's like 5 in each set that started this year, right? So there's been 3 or 4 sets already. A Shrouded Fable brought in a couple. I don't know how many they brought in. So maybe only like 17 or 18.
Would Shrouded Fable be a part of the tournament? Like, is it legal? I guess, right?
I don't see why it wouldn't be.
I don't know.
That I haven't read the, usually it's like 2 or 3 weeks after the release of a set is when it becomes legal. Shrouded Fable's been out for what, 2 weeks now? So it'll be what, 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks out when the yeah, I don't know if it's going to be legal or not, to be honest. Maybe it's not. Maybe because it's a holiday set too, it's just not. But
Yeah.
they're mostly reprints anyway. But the
True.
A specs are different. So
Yeah, they're all new, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
So I don't know how that works. I don't know. Maybe that's why they didn't do it, but
Hey, we're not the masters, right? So
we are not the masters here. Let me pull back up the there we go. So that's just one of the cool things that's going to be going on during
one
this
of the big
time.
things I would be really I'd imagine they might do it every night. I don't know. But they have the drone show they're gonna do.
Yes, that is
And
a thing somewhere on here.
I think they did it last year. I think it's
The
activities.
activities.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
right
the
there.
dazzling skies. That'll be really cool to see in person. This is like 110%. I don't want to say it's not for people to just watch because obviously that's not true, but this is way more content creator esque. People are going to want to take shots of this and do all that stuff. But that'll be really cool to see.
Yes.
I've never seen a drone show in person. I could imagine though, like especially a very high end drone show probably is really neat to see.
Yeah, that's something I would love to see.
I'm pretty sure they did one in Japan last year, and then I've seen some of the bigger Pokemon stuff they've done. Like Leonhardt's shown off some of that.
Yeah.
So
And I mean, watching the videos of those ones was super cool. So
yeah,
I can't imagine what they're going to do with even more technology and better stuff this year.
yeah. Because that's like very niche. You know what I mean? Like drone shows in general, but also like specifically about Pokemon. So you're very much going to see a very one-off type of thing. You know what I mean? Like there's not going to be many of these being put on, at least in probably the next few years. Even only maybe a couple events a year might have this. So
I just
definitely if you're
imagine
going, try to go to this. This would be really cool to see.
I just imagine there's going to be some people that are just going to be in Hawaii naturally on vacation and they're going to look up and just see this weird drone show about
Yeah.
Pokemon. They're going to be like, what the hell is going on?
Well, and that's honestly kind of a cool thing if you're already there, you know what I mean? Like you're already going to get to see something cool like that. Kind of neat. I mean, it's a free show because I can't
Yeah.
imagine the way it'll be that they could really exclude people from being able to see it,
Yeah, well, I mean, it even says it right here. There's no badge required, so it's going to be at the Hilton Hawaii Village
Oh,
beach.
okay, then yeah. So you could
So
just
it's going to be on the
know
beach,
it's
but
there to
no
show
badge
up.
required. So yes, I imagine if you're staying at this hotel, they might have a section designated for you. I don't know, but no badge required means it's free for anybody to show up and do it. And it looks like they're doing it on 3 different dates, 8 to 8:10. So it's only a 10-minute show. If you're going out that way, you definitely should check this out. I mean, it's a 10-minute show. It's going to be well worth it. I
Yeah,
tell
I
you.
would definitely. I think that would be really cool to see just in general. It's only like Ren said, it's only 10 minutes, but definitely you're probably going to be on camera because there's going to be thousands of creators, or just
Oh
people
yeah.
taking pictures in general. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, you're
but
probably going to
yeah,
be taking your own pictures. Let's be real here.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So, but definitely, if you can go because that would be really cool to see. That's something that would be very once in a lifetime almost, or at least
Yeah.
one off for
Well,
sure.
you're never going to see another one like it. That's the thing.
But they have other events. I didn't look into what that Play Labs is. I
Let's
imagine it's
check it
more
out.
for kids, but
Yeah, guided demo experience
oh,
of fan favorite Pokemon games. Whether you're a beginner or a casual player, the Play Lab offers a fun way, or a great way for you to have fun and take your next step as a Pokemon trainer. So it still doesn't really tell you what it is. It's some kind of demo experience of fan favorite Pokemon games.
I'd
So
imagine TCG for sure, but then probably like the more latest, either Pokemon Go or um like Scarlet Violet type of stuff is what
yeah,
I would guess.
it would be cool if it was like a beginner intro to things. Like, so let's say you're a TCG player and you go and you've never done VGC and you kind of want to learn a little bit about the VGC. Like, it would be kind of cool for them to be like, hey, these are the basics. here's your, you know how every Pokemon you game, well, at least back in the Pixel era, you would have to go to that first or second town, and you would have to go through the school to
Yeah.
learn how to the type advantages and stuff. I almost wonder if this is more like that in real life.
Could be. I mean, you figure it's 3 hours and then 4 hours, so a total of like 7 hours a day, it seems like.
Yeah.
So it's probably, I'm sure, slow paced Pokemon TCG games, and then, maybe a little bit on the VGC side. Maybe just basics of how to like think about Pokemon in general, just types, like you said, type advantages that, play both sides, obviously differently, but kind of the same. So,
I imagine they do stuff for Pokemon Go too, because they're trying to grow that aspect of it.
yeah, I mean,
That could
I
be a
would
whole
think
nother
so.
thing.
And they're just like, here's how you get through all the paywall stuff.
Yeah.
Make your first purchase. That's required.
Good Lord. Another really cool thing that they have that's open to everybody there is this Pokemon Worlds town, trainer town.
Yeah, that looks like it'd be really cool. That's very interactive,
So
pictures and stuff, probably kid based.
So they've already planned ahead for some of the, I guess, more content creation side of things. It says look forward to character meet and greets, hula lessons, lei making, origami, and special photo ops at the village green. It obviously shows that like there's gonna be a bunch of props and stuff set up all over.
Yeah.
So I mean it's pretty cool. They're like definitely kind of pulling out all the stops here to make this world's trip worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you figure it's a vacation destination that's way more vacation esque. So
Yes.
they're trying to probably make it a lot of like, mix and match, probably a lot of outdoor stuff too, I would think. So a lot for the family, which is cool. I mean, that's very smart of them. Plus, if they're doing a mixture of stuff, so some of the stuff is outside based, and I'm just kind of taking a guess. But if that is the case, then, it also frees up space inside,
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's what's kind of interesting here is so everything appears to be it's going to be at this Hilton Hawaiian Village, which I assume is like the expo center that they're going to be hosting the actual tournament in. But it's all 3 days from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you could literally go at any point during that day. So 11 hours of availability, I guess.
hell yeah.
And again, no badge required. So you can just walk on in. So even if you don't get your tickets, to the world events there, then you can still pop on in.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting for a lot of the locals too, like how many local people want to go in and do stuff, because I know that there's got to be some people locally to there that also can't go, because you figure, right, for us to go to Hawaii is a big deal, but I'm sure it's the exact same, the reverse, just maybe not the cost from like where you're staying perspective. So,
Well, I mean, imagine you show
cool.
up for this family vacation or whatever, and then you just see Pokemon stuff everywhere, and you got kids, and oh, hey, cool, let's go check that out.
It's all of a sudden you're just like sick. I thought we were gonna be on the beach, but I guess not.
Well, one of the other really cool aspects that's going to be interesting, I don't know, I guess it's for like the meet and greet type of stuff, but the Shadowless podcast is going to be live doing a podcast there as well. So I know a lot of people in the Pokemon sphere do listen to the Shadowless podcast. I still listen to them. I usually don't listen to them the day it releases. I usually wait till I'm doing like my yard work or something and I pop them on. But you got Real Breaking Nate, of course. You've got Super Duper Danny, and you've got Jordan Fringe. So you get to meet and greet with all of them. Actually says that they're going to host their variety podcast, but they're going to be in front of a live audience with audience trivia, giveaways, pack breaks, special guests, and more await trainers of all ages, followed by a meet and greet. So it seems like it's going to be a really awesome. I'm actually really looking forward to this. It's going to be an interactive live podcast, which is honestly such a cool idea. If we ever blow up Grumpy, we need to do something like this too.
I think, but what I'm curious though is because how they're streaming everything, not them, but Pokemon. I wonder if the stream will showcase this too, or if there will be like a separate streaming spot for that.
That's a good question. Let's see. I would,
and no badge required. That's interesting.
Yeah, so anybody's going to be able to go up and do the meet and greet and the pack breaks and all that with them, get some autographs, or make sure you bring your side up cards for Nate to autograph there. But um, I have a feeling it's going to be on probably Nate's channel, is my guess, because it's Thursday and Friday between 4:30 to 6, and then 5 to 6:30. I believe the tournament's running. Oh, no. You know what? The tournament is not running on Friday. It's only Saturday and Sunday, right?
Maybe.
So maybe this is on the official Pokemon media page.
I would imagine most events that are not the interactive, like learn to do hula and learn, the origami and all that stuff, the kids thing we were showing. I'd imagine most things will be on stream. How much is, remains to be seen. Obviously, I think that they're trying to make this a lot more of like an in-person spectacle versus an online spectacle. But it's, if there's no other important event, and I mean that respectfully, I mean that like if none of the tournament stuff is running at the same time, obviously then they might, because Thursday would be before. So
yeah, well, for some reason I was thinking Friday is the day the tournament started for the TCG, and I was thinking there's no way they're going to be running this on the actual Pokemon live stream, right in the middle of the tournament. But then it's usually Saturday and Sunday, so this might just be still pre-registration, pre-tournament activities.
Yeah, I mean,
so
it says
very well could be.
It says, Pokemon Unite's one of the VGCs going on there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's
Scarlet Violet, cool. Go, and Unite. Unite used to piss me off so bad, but that's a different story.
I know, same buddy, same. So I'm playing it.
It says on Friday their live streams are 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. They're 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday is 1 to 5. So based on that, Thursday would not be on the official Twitch channel.
Interesting. So I almost wonder if they're going to do two separate podcasts then, or maybe it's going to be a reiteration of the same thing where Thursday's on Nate's channel and then Friday's on the Pokemon channel or something.
It's a good question. I was thinking maybe honestly neither end up being on the official thing. Maybe it's like they would push you to either Nate's or Danny's or whatever. Maybe.
Yeah.
I know that they have a channel for Shadowless Podcast. I just don't think they really use it anymore.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever really did. They did some didn't they break down some short contents on there?
They have a channel. But to give you an idea, the last video they posted was 2 years ago. I think they were taking segments and putting it up there and stuff, and then trying to do because they had their Patreon and everything, and they were trying to make it like sort of interactive with that. But I'm assuming it just, probably is weird when you have 3 different content creators and then you create a separate channel.
Yeah, that's true.
So but anyways, that being said, I don't know what their plan is. I'm sure one of the 3 of them or all 3 of them to some degree will post sort of how I would think they're trying to do a live thing where viewers can watch it. At minimum, it'll be recorded and then put up at some point, I would think.
But, yeah, well, I mean, I seen on Real Breaking Nate's channel, he had put something out there that it's going to be live and recorded or broadcast or whatever. I forgot how he said it. So it's going to be put out there somehow. I imagine when it actually goes live, he will put the details and the link to whatever live stream it is, whether it's the Pokemon's or his or whatever. So, I'm not worried about it too much. I know they're gonna actually put it out there, but that is one that I am looking forward to.
Yeah, that'll definitely be cool. An interactive live podcast will be. I mean, I guess they did one at Worlds last year, so just be a continuation, but another chance. I mean, I know this is almost like going abroad, but not quite the same because technically it's not. But cost wise, I'm sure it feels all the same. So for those of you who are going, if you've never heard of Shadowless Podcast, they're 3 of the coolest people from within the community, big time creators, all different aspects, as far as the collectibles, the cards, the this, the that. So and they're of the more senior level of collecting. So they've been in the game for such a long time that they have such long-term nostalgic memories
Yeah, they're all OG people. They've been there from the start. You know, red and blue and the base set trading cards and all that.
Yeah, so they're not just solely this or that. They're kind of, you know, a little of everything. So that's cool. They're very low down to earth. I was gonna say low key. Obviously, it's kind of hard to be low key when you're one of the big faces. But yeah. Anyways, definitely some people you should try to, you know, check out if you're going to be there. Maybe meet. You know, I'm sure they're going to do meet and greet opportunities and stuff. So I would take advantage of that if you can. I've actually met all three of them. Really cool people in person too. You know, so definitely.
I have not met. Oh no, I met Danny. I met Danny at Gen Con. No, not Gen Con. Collecticon 2 years ago. She was a really cool person. And I've talked to Jordan online a little bit here and there. Nate's the only one I've never actually like. So
yeah,
do that. I would love to cross that one off the bucket list and be like, I know the whole squad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure don't remember me like I remember them, but you know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I would be very surprised if any of them remembered me too, but you know, this is what it is.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, they're really sweet people, you know, really low key, down to earth type of people. So, you know, be respectful. Obviously, keep in mind they are just people, you know. But if you get a chance to meet them and take a picture or do a trade or pack opening, whatever, you know, I'm sure they'll all enjoy
Take advantage of it. It'll be fun. We've got some. So all those things that we just looked at are open to the public, but there are some things that are going to be badge required, and most of these, if not all of these, are going to be within the event itself. So you obviously have to have the pass, but it looks like there's going to be some animation screenings. I have not been following the new animation.
Neither have I.
Anime. I'm going to be honest. I watched like the first 5 episodes, and it sucked. I'm going to be just completely honest. It sucked. I turned it off. My son doesn't even watch it, and he's big on the anime too. He loves rewatching like the OG Pokemon, or even the one with Go from Sword and Shield era. He loves those ones, but he does
Horizons, whatever.
Yeah, Horizons. This is Horizons. Yeah, he does not like this one either. So, Pokemon, step your game up. Bring Ash back. So you get some interesting stuff there. You can watch some of the new stuff. And then it's the Ash's Classic Encounter with Mewtwo, the first movie. So it looks like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday there's going to be a couple different screenings. You know, 9 a.m. to 4
Oh, that's kind of cool. 6 p.m. So, now these aren't the. Is Pokemon the first movie like the original one, or is it like the remake? Because haven't they done like
it says the Classic Encounter.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine it's going to be the real, like the very first one back. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, that I would love to do. I'd go be at Pokemon Worlds and just sit in a theater and watch the OG Classic.
Surrounded by a bunch of kids asking questions and screaming. Sounds like a lovely time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would actually be kind of cool.
So I was thinking about this, and this is something Pokemon should do at these Worlds, especially for Worlds, because it's way beyond just TCG. But they should create basically a little bit of a museum and kind of go through like a very for both aspects, well, all the aspects, but like the animation, so the show, movies, blah blah blah, how it's all kind of gone, and then also the cards, because obviously they kind of went hand in hand, not literally, but more like kind of at the same time. Everyone was like, oh my god, the anime, but also the cards. And then the games, they should have like a gaming part of it, because you figure obviously we all, from anyone who's like 25 or older, knows about like the original Game Boy games and stuff. But then also like when it got to, you know, N64 and then GameCube and like all this, because there's so many crazy games where almost at every stage someone could be like, that game was so cool, that was one of the best games, blah blah blah. And
do you think every generation had new people coming in, so there's going to be fans of all of them no matter what?
And I don't even mean specifically the mainline games, so I'm not even talking like Pokemon Red Blue, Pokemon Ruby Sapphire.
Well, I mean, like think about Mysterious Dungeons. That's such a popular side franchise.
I was thinking that, you know, Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon Snap, like all these different aspects. I'm not saying you have to have every single game, but I think you could take kind of like a couple things from each era and just like a, you know, like a visual walkthrough.
If
You know,
Pokemon is gonna do it, absolutely have every game there, and I want it to be sealed in a case. I want to see it. Don't do this
this
to me,
guy
Pokemon.
with a demo where you can play of each one. Yeah,
Dude,
I
I'm
mean,
telling you, what if they had the OG demos? Like, think about Gold, Silver. Well, there wasn't one for Crystal, but the Gold and Silver demos back when they first released and how the game was different than it actually ended up being. It would
see,
be
I don't
cool
even know
to
about
get to
that.
play those. Yeah, I'm a history nerd, and I may have spent more than a night or two watching historical things on Pokemon. So
But see, like I think that there's a lot of difference, especially obviously nowadays, right? Digital games and stuff like that. So online, like we didn't have that. So it would just be kind of neat for both, like say you and your family could go, right? You going down memory lane, but
mhm.
also getting to show your son and your daughter, and I guess the newest one's not of age to absorb anything, but
Yeah, not yet.
but like those two, I mean, I don't know. Anyways, you get what I'm saying though. People with their kids could go through
Yeah,
and be like, this is what I grew up with, and then look what you have, and look how crazy this is, and sort of like that historical, like just like trip down memory lane slash kind of where it all started from, like
right. Well,
showing like the animation side by side, like today's versus
exactly,
back then type of
exactly.
stuff. I think that'd
Yeah,
be really cool.
yeah, walking through, like you said, like just taking your kids and showing them, hey, this is what the game looked like when I first started playing, and then here's the evolution of it as it, fat Pikachu from the beginning versus now you have the
Well,
slim Pikachu, and
not only that, but think about like I think you and I were talking about this, but how they came out with that the Delta emulator and stuff.
yes,
So how we were talking about you couldn't do trades or whatever, like
hmm
they kind of didn't figure that out, or maybe they have now, I don't know. But back in our day, obviously with the Game Boys, you had to have that cord, the like
yeah,
USB whatever thing.
the
And
infamous link cable.
so it's like, imagine being like, even if it's just like in a glass case, whatever, but like showcasing that, like this is what trading used to be, was linking up with your
hmm
friend in person type of stuff. Whereas now you have mystery trades online with people from across the world that are hacking the game anyways. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know,
Well, even showing off some of the stuff. Okay, so think about the DS era when they introduced internet capabilities. So I like think back on Pokemon Black and White where I didn't play the game when it first came out. I
yeah,
actually just played Black and White 2 years ago for the first time.
right.
But there was the what is it, like the Dream Garden or something where you get Musharna and all that. But it was only available. It was an online service that was only available for like a year when the game
Or
Black and
remember
White
when you used to
first
have to
came
go
out.
to GameStop?
Yeah, to do like the special trades or events or whatever, get your tickets.
Yeah.
Imagine just having some videos or like a live demo of that stuff that people, even like us that never got to experience, can now kind of go back and be like, oh, we can fill that piece in. We get to see what it's like now.
Yeah, because that's one of the things I think is just such a, like, the internet is so cool for so many different reasons, but in a way, it also kind of creates a lack of inclusivity. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Not that necessarily you want to create exclusivity, because that's not always great, but
Right.
you know what I mean? Like it's just, it kind of takes away from what it kind of was. You know what I mean? Because I like midnight releases for games in general, right? Like how
Mhm.
often did those, when I was starting to
Man,
hit
those
late
were the
high school,
things.
yeah, like when I was starting to hit late high school, that was like, man, I'm old enough, I could go. Like my parents said I could go, I could take the car, like that type of thing.
Right.
But like now as an adult, I've been to one, really, and that was like, was it not last year but the year before when Scarlet Violet released. We both, I mean, obviously respectively in our areas, you went to yours, I went to mine, and then
Right.
we hopped on and streamed together for a little bit, but like that's it. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
not going to all these midnight releases, because why? We can just get the game digitally and play it. And theoretically, we could have got it digitally that night too, but we wanted the in-person stuff.
It's not the same. Plus, I have a collection of video games, so I can't not get them. So
Right. It's just, there's
just
so many things that like we'll never know what, oh man, the midnight release for red, blue, and yellow and
I
stuff. What was
know
that like? Because we were just wee lads.
exactly.
So it would be cool just to see like how some of that was, when the special edition N64, like the Pikachu N64, when that hit the shelf, what that was like, in some of these areas and stuff. They have so much they could showcase that would probably honestly bring so many people for that alone.
And I was thinking about it too, just thinking of like the weird one-off things they would do. Speaking of the Nintendo 64, I know Jordan Fringe a couple of years ago was a big thing on the Shadowless podcast. He got that
The Blockbuster Snap machine.
Yeah, and it was just like I never saw one of those in person. Like
I don't know if I did. I
can't
remember it. I can't remember. So,
but it's just like those are some of the things that maybe you did see when you were a kid, and now you get to see it again, and it's that blast of nostalgia. Or you never. It's another one of those things like you missed out on, and now you get to kind of see it. So I agree. I think that would be a really cool idea.
Like I know Jordan talked about like basically I think one of his big dreams, money being obviously a huge holdback, but he thinks that like making a Pokemon museum would be really cool. And I agree. I mean, I think that'd be awesome, but I think in a way it's almost too niche to be like,
yeah,
it's not, but it is. Cause I think the problem is, we're in the day and age where you have to kind of receive something out of wanting to go visit. You know what I mean? So like, it's not something that would be like funded or anything. It would have to be a really rich person that decided to waste their money doing it, if you will. And
what if so think about it. Pokemon as a company has got to have some of this stuff, right? What if they did for their regional events and for the worlds, even if it was just the worlds, they did a pop-up museum?
That's what I'm saying though. Like, I think for how much you're probably making off of doing these events, you know what I mean? Like you can in theory go and not buy anything, right? When I went to my worlds, me and my friend went, all we bought was the tickets to go. And at the time they were $10 a piece, I think. Mm-hmm. So they made $20 off of us. We didn't do anything though that required, like they gave us a pack each for entering. So a pack at that time was what, $3? And that's just if we're going MSRP. Obviously they didn't pay $3 for those packs.
Right. Yeah. So they paid way less.
They paid what it paid to make them, so
exactly.
Cents. So that being said, they essentially made like at least $17 basically off of us. And then we did buy stuff at the Worlds or the Pokemon Center. So both of us probably spent about $100 each. And so, however you want to rig all that up, right? But the point being is so many other people probably bought concessions and paid for this to go do autographs and paid for this to do that and paid for multi-day passes that they didn't go every day and all these things that, they're just pocketing money after money after money type of deal. So, and in this case, there's probably so much, and I know they got to pay for these events too in a way, but like, I feel like they're still making tons of money. I mean, and this is just talking about the event, not the fact that they're also a multi-billion-dollar company.
Right.
So they could pay to do this stuff that I think, honestly, I mean, imagine you made it a part of a, because obviously it would be kind of like a cluster of how to do it. So imagine you made it like a special pass you had to get to go through it. You know what I mean? And you're like kind of limited type of deal. Like maybe it's almost like tours rather than like you freely being able to walk through.
Right.
You could make a lot of money off of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just even if it was just like you walk and go through it at your own pace or whatever, just charge like a $5 entry just to do the museum and boom, you're making tons of money because people are going to do it.
Right. I mean, even if you made it like part of the badging. So like, okay, if you want to be included,
do like a VIP badge and or do like a different tier of badge. Yeah.
Right. And that way it's like you probably would have so many people that buy that and then don't even go. Right. You know what I mean? Like they forget all about it, So there's so many aspects where, and I'm not even saying that they need to focus on it like that. I don't think that Pokemon's hurting for money like that, but I'm more so just saying, like, if you wanted to create a way to weed out, like, okay, it's not free, so we can kind of make some money off of having to travel all this stuff around, but also it's kind of sort of like, you know what I mean? Like not necessarily like a specifically paid for thing, but like kind of in a way. And then, like it just creates a way to weed stuff out, but not make it like so exclusive. Right. Like if say, I don't know how much tickets were for this, but let's just say with inflation from 2019, they're like $15, $20 now. Make it a $25 ticket. Not that big of a deal. You're probably like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm $25. Yeah, sure. And then if you do go, you go. If you don't, you don't, Right. So, but I think that'd be really cool. I think, honestly, even just seeing a video breakdown of it, but like seeing it in person would be crazy. Like actually seeing some of this stuff. I mean, I'm sure you'd make it so you don't get to touch anything because, especially kids, you don't want their grubby little paws getting sticky stuff on
Right.
everything. But, I mean, and I'm talking like you could do cards. I know at the next card party, that's one of the things they want to do, or maybe they did it at this one. I can't remember. But I wouldn't even go as crazy as cards. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, they got to have booster boxes of like original stuff. You don't have to do that. I mean, you could, obviously, but like, you could just have card pictures. Like, these are what base set looked like, and now look at what you get now. Like Charizard then, Charizard now, type of
Just
stuff.
have
Like
empty wrappers.
just so many things. You know what I mean? Just it's more meant to be like kind of just a flashback, not necessarily like an experience of like here's your hands getting on everything. Like
Right.
touch this specific Pikachu controller. Like it doesn't have to be that in depth. And you could show like obviously all the different modern systems where they put Pokemon esque themes to it. Like the themed Nintendo Switches and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? They could have all that stuff and really kind of go into the weeds that way. I think that'd be really cool. Nice flashback side by side comparison for especially like the kids. Because obviously it'd be a nice learning experience for the kids just seeing stuff. But
yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be a cool thing. And maybe they just need to watch our video here to get some ideas. So there you go, Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to shout out. You can just do it. Take all the credit. That's fine. So
well, I mean, they're gonna see that this was your idea, so I ain't taking it. But honestly, one thing that you had mentioned just a minute ago too was something about autographs, which is something they have not been allowing in recent times, just due to the volatile nature of trading cards and like the money aspect of things. They've been kind of not doing the autograph sessions, but now they're bringing back official autograph sessions, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, because they got some of the big creators and stuff coming. So if you're watching, Ren has it on the screen. I am not going to try to pronounce their names.
Well, you got Ishihara, who's the Pokemon and CEO, or the president and CEO of the Pokemon company. You have Junichi Masuda, who is the creator. I think he's one of the guys that made the game, right? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know who Akira is, the Pokemon trading card game artist.
Probably just one of the artists, I would assume.
Yeah, and then Furusawa is another artist. So you've got two of the specific artists in there, and then you've got two of the guys who make the Pokemon games and TCGs. So, I mean, obviously, if I'm going, I want Ishihara and Masuda's autographs. I'd probably, if I was gonna go to the Worlds, if I had the ticket, I'm gonna be looking up exactly what cards these guys have done art for, and I'm bringing them just to get them signed. I don't even care. Like, I would want.
Yeah. Which then flash forward to post event, Bud making a video about the people jumping line so they can get multiple things signed and then sell it.
Look, I mean, this is kind of interesting because it even says the sign up is only 2 hours long, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday, and then there's different sessions here. So I don't even know if you would be able to.
I'm guessing sign up means to sign up to get in line, like as in like to get a spot.
Yeah,
maybe. And then
because look, they're only there for 2 hours each time. Each person is only there for. Actually, Ishihara is only there for 1 hour, so you have even less time. And you imagine if they've got, I don't know, 4,000 people that are going to be showing up. That's probably an overestimate, but if they've got even that close to that amount of people, they can't do 4,000 people in 1 hour. So it's going to have to be very limited, which it seems like it's going to be.
Yeah.
Oh, it even says your wristband does not guarantee you an autograph, and they may shut down the line for wristbands at any time for any reason.
Wow.
They may cancel the autograph session, end it early. So they're kind of just putting it out there like you're going to have to jump through a lot of hoops to get this, but they could maybe not do it. Also, no personal items will be signed. Instead, posters will be provided for signing. So there goes my Pokemon card method, which is
honestly not a bad idea. Like,
well, I mean, think about when the whole COVID thing happened and cards went skyrocketing. The Logan Pauls entered the scene, and people were literally going to conventions just to get signatures from all these artists and people, and then they would go sell them for these ridiculous prices online. And again, as I said many, many times, don't underestimate the stupidity of people. People would pay the absurd prices for those autographs, and they took that personal. They did not like that. They, you know,
well, and I
certain
agree
artists
because
did
I
not
think
like
that that's messed up. I mean, obviously, you as a person buy stuff and you can do what you want with it, but when they've done previous autograph sessions and like Bud has done a bunch of coverage on that, if you take advantage of it, I mean, if your goal is to sell it in the first place, it's kind of scummy in a way because it's such a limited thing. You figure just the ability to get to these events, let alone be able to get to signing, get something signed. But if you're that type of person, it's like kind of scummy, but technically, still within your right. You paid for it, type of deal, blah blah blah.
right.
But if you're the type of person that's going to try to jump line and continuously get all this stuff signed and then mark, you know what I mean? Like that's where it starts to get really, really scummy. So,
Well, and you got to think that like these guys, they've put everything into this game or this franchise, not even just the game. Like this is their passion. This is the thing they love, and they don't. Is Japan has a different culture. They're not like Americans where they have this. Oh, if we can make a buck, let's make that buck. Like they put their pride into this stuff, and then putting their autograph on something means something to them where they don't want people just go turning around and selling it. Like it should mean something to the person getting it.
yeah. And I think that like, especially like the idea that they can do what they want as far as like shutting it down and stuff. I mean, the fact that the CEO is one of the people,
Right.
yeah. But, maybe you get something signed, maybe you don't. I'd imagine
It's going to be tough to get it signed, is what it sounds like. So
to
good
me,
luck.
I wouldn't even try, honestly, because I think, side rant, right? You put so much stock into the idea of something that's so unique. And I'm not saying it wouldn't be worthwhile, but probably a huge thing in your mind is honestly the value. It becomes basically the value. And it's like, do you want that enough to offset being at some of the other things? Because
Right.
obviously it's two different times, well, multiple times, obviously, if you go to all of them, but to sign up to get a wristband and then to get through the line of getting stuff signed is two different waitings where you're not at other stuff. And
Right.
a lot of this is like, once in a lifetime experience. So how do you handle that? You know what I mean? Do you want to be that type of person that sat around for this, whatever? So
Yeah. I think you have to go into it honestly knowing that it's not a guarantee. It's like if you get it, it's going to be a good thing, but it might not happen.
yeah, like I personally probably wouldn't go for it only because there's so much to experience and it would take away from that. I just think back like going to Collecticon and trying to do that for like MetaZoo promos and MetaZoo stuff and how that kind of felt in hindsight, especially. So I probably wouldn't, but teach their own, and especially if your goal is to make money, then whatever. But I'd probably try to take more stuff in than that. Cause I'm also like, as much as cool as it would be to say you met the CEO and stuff, you're probably not going to have a long conversation. At most, it's just, hey, sign this thing. Hey, thanks. Maybe get a picture real quick and walk off.
Exactly. It's not going to
So,
be a personable thing.
and it sucks because, like, even if it was a longer conversation, say 10 minutes, it's probably so minuscule in his life versus yours. But taking the fact that it's probably going to be at max to like 45 seconds,
Yeah.
Is it worth all that time waiting to do it? I don't know.
I guess it depends on how much you really want that signature, that
Right.
autograph.
Right.
I know
like I said, the money is what to me comes up to it, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. They do have some other good stuff though that's going to be there. The collect and trade corner. I think they have these at pretty much every Worlds where you can just go meet up with other people, sit down, trade.
yeah, they should have just also like random empty tables, I would think, where you can just kind of do what you want.
Or you go outside on the beach and just find people and trade. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be people crawling everywhere.
Yeah, very true.
I don't know what this Genki ball activity is though. I kind of want to see what this is. So it's some kind of, I want to say it's some kind of art project.
Ball?
Make your own Genki ball. It's a mud ball. So while learning about bioremediation technology and how the mud balls can clean water. Okay, so it is kind of like an art project. It's just like a little fun side activity thing to do. So you can do the Genki ball making on Friday between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. or Saturday between 9 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. And then you could do a ball toss, which I imagine is the last process of actually putting the balls in the water and helping it clean or whatever.
Yeah. Just throwing a bunch of mud into some water.
Yeah, I mean, it just says the location is canal, so I don't know what canal.
It says we'll throw all the Genki balls together into the Ala Y canal. Y-E-Y, I don't know.
Oh, and
I'd imagine it's right there.
It says a limited number of slots available for that too, so first come, first serve. So you might not even get to do this anyway, so I don't know.
And there's a badge required, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's for the ticketed holders. But I don't know. I mean, if you're there and there's a spot to do it, if you got the time to go do it, why not, right? You're in Hawaii. You're never going to get to do this anywhere else. So
also true. I mean, also true.
Might as well do it. I was looking at this actually when we got to the autograph thing. They do actually have part of their history museum. It's just the World Championship History Museum. So they could easily incorporate just Pokemon history into all this.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like just looking at the picture there, right? It kind of has a little more than just probably the TCG history, like specifically. It's not a lot, as you can see. It looks like a couple pillars of glass cases, and then maybe some other stuff around the edges.
Well, it's worlds history, so it's gonna have, like right here, it says view past worlds, items, iconic Pokemon TCG.
Yeah, like usually they have like the championship promos and stuff, like that sort of stuff. So
yeah, so anything that kind of has to do with Pokemon Worlds is going to be in there. So it's not specific to like Pokemon history. It's just the world's history. But I feel like that's just a missed opportunity. I know this is just like some kind of photoshopped picture because obviously all this stuff is very poorly photoshopped in there too. But if they have this much space, you could easily put some history stuff in
for
there
sure
and just make it like a Pokemon history, not just a world's history.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I think that's an all event affair though. But this is the thing I kind of wanted to see, the merchant room. I wonder if it's going to actually show. Oh no, so it's shop local Hawaiian game and card shops on site. So that kind of answers that question of the merchants that are going to be there. It seems like it's going to be all local Hawaiian.
Which is interesting. They didn't do that at DC that I know of. So, but it also, I think there's an allure to like where you're going. This is technically not abroad from an American standpoint, but it kind of is. So,
well, from a monetary aspect too, if you're an LGS, obviously this would be a huge opportunity to go and sell stuff. But imagine the cost it would take to fly all of that stuff out there for your own shop, and then if you don't sell it, you have to pack it up and fly it all back. So you're probably not making much money, if any, by doing it. So this is probably just the better way to go anyway. Shop local.
Yeah.
But, is this where the Pokemon Center pop-up is going to be too? It doesn't say.
I have no idea. Usually the way they've done them that I know of, it's kind of like a part of wherever the tournament is. It's like a sidebar, obviously.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's in the because there's another tab over here for the side events, which I know traditionally they do have a bunch of side events, but
yeah,
we'll get to that in a minute. It looks like they're going to be doing the Pocket demo, the PTCG Pocket demo, which I still don't really understand the whole need for Pokemon Pocket, but it says be one of the first to experience the joys of the Pokemon Pocket open packs, experience unique digital finishes, parallel effects, and more. So maybe it's just more of the collector side of things you can get in this, where PTCG Live is straight up just like you can only have 4 of each copy of card because it's all about playing the game. Maybe this is more towards like, hey, collect the cards, but then also we've got this really easy way of playing the game too.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess the way I had originally when it first aired that it was a thing, it came off very NFT-esque. Like you're just earning, / owning, I guess, these virtual cards, which doesn't have a great allure to me. Like I don't feel awesome about that.
I almost wonder, are they going to do code cards? Like, we have random code cards you get out of the packs. Are they going to have Pokemon Pocket codes now too?
It's gotta be somehow. I mean, I can't imagine they would make you buy that strictly virtually, but also it could be maybe like if you play the TCGO, you get like a redeemable thing after so many points, like so many games play. Like, you know what I mean? They could have like a reward system with that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of how they do it with their live PTCG live now. Anyways, you can't spend money on it, so it's all in-game rewards. So I wonder if that is going to be doing it. But I mean, you got to think every other main or not Pokemon, every main TCG franchise has a way to purchase things online, like packs and stuff. So I almost wonder if this is that. This is going to become that. But
yeah, it could be, the microtransaction stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, it's good. People go into this. You're gonna have the option. You're gonna be the first to experience it. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing the videos on it, just because I want to see exactly what it is and what it's gonna do, or how it's gonna work, I guess. And then one of the final things is they're gonna have the illustration contest gallery. So this is kind of cool because we traditionally on the Cardboard Addicts podcast we would go over. I think we did it for two or 3 years. The illustration contest that Pokemon would run, and we would kind of look at some of the cards that they would show, like the top 100 or whatever. It looks like you're going to be able to see all of the card arts, or oh no, that it's still just the top 100 entries from the 2024 contest. But
I mean, that's still cool to see it in person. Kind of get like, the ability to look at their showcasing, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, so it says something about the 2021 through 2024 contest. So maybe you're going to get to see all of the contests over the years added up. And it even they're going to have a draw your own card activity. So you could create your own Pokemon card there, which is going to be kind of cool. It looks like that's all weekend as well, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Badge required, but it doesn't seem like it's a limited event. So I think it's something that anybody could join at any time. You don't really have to stand in line for. But one of the things that a lot of people go to the regional and international events for are the side events here. So looks like they're going to be bringing back a lot of these side events. I mean, that's a really good list right there. So Saturday at 9 a.m., you're going to have the Build and Battle Challenge. So it's a 3-round Build and Battle Swiss event. So it's kind of the same as a pre-release. You get, instead of a pre-release, you're going to, well, I mean, the Build and Battle is the pre-release. But you get the pre-release kit, and then you build your deck. You battle it out. All players receive prize tickets for participating. Obviously, if you win like first place, you get, I don't know, 10 or 15 tickets, and last place probably only receives like 1 or 2. So you still want to win these events, but they're also going to have the Switch Series Standard Championship, and I think that's the VGC side of things, right?
I would think. I mean, Switch Series to me, but I'm curious. Then, do you have to bring your own, or?
Oh yeah. I imagine just like you would have to bring your own TCG deck for, like, if you're playing in the tournament, you have to bring your own Nintendo Switch. I don't know.
Well, no, because the first thing says all players receive a build and battle box for registering. So now, obviously, I don't think that means they're going to give you a Switch. I would imagine if they were going to do anything, they would provide you one to use.
I don't know.
But
yeah, that's a good. I mean, they would have to have a lot of Switches, though, I think, for this too. So
that's kind of what I was like thinking, is it's not necessarily like the most crazy feasible way, but also I think that the problem with like, oh, you can bring your own, it gets kind of sketchy with like, because now everyone, you got to be worried.
But you could have a modded Switch or something, or a modded game, or I don't know. Well, it looks like they're gonna have a couple other tournaments. I keep trying to highlight it, and it's just like trying to drag this. Oh, it doesn't even show it on the screen. That's good, because it makes me look like an idiot. They have a parents tournament, so it's an event run for parents with shifting rules. Players should bring a standard format deck and be prepared for new ways to play each event. So it looks like it's just it's a new type of game there. They have the Gym Leader Challenge, which I know is a very popular choice of format choice. I see a lot about it. 3 round event. Each deck may include only one type of Pokemon and only a single copy of any card other than basic energy. So really, you got to really strategize and think about it. The Pokemon Sisterhood League. It's another, women's and non-binary players only event. Um, Looks like they're gonna have, and then they kind of just rotate it. 3 p.m. They're gonna go back to the Build and Battle Challenge. 4 p.m. the Gym Leader Challenge, and at 5 p.m. they end that day with a standard challenge, which is just standard format. You bring your own deck, and you get tickets. Saturday looks like it's just those three in the morning, and that is it. Build and Battle Challenge, followed by the Gym Leader Challenge and the Standard Challenge. And then all days on demand, they're going to have the 8-person TCG standard. So that's where you do your clusters. If you get 8 people together, you sit down, do deck, and you bring your deck and you play. Then they have the single pack Ditto Draft. So single elimination event using Ditto Draft rules. All players receive a Pokemon TCG booster pack for participating, and the top trainers for each event receive the prize. So it's basically a 1-pack battle.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. I've seen things about them. I've seen people do them before. It's a very interesting concept. That's the one thing. If I was going to go to an event, that's what I would try, is the single pack.
I was going to say that's what Nate used to do, as like almost like a little challenge, right?
Yeah.
So kind of neat.
Well, it's cool. The way I've seen it happen is, like, let's say you open a pack and you get a Bulbasaur, a Charmeleon, and a Venusaur. So it doesn't matter that they're like different evolutions or different, species of Pokemon or whatever. All that matters is you have a basic, a stage 1, and a stage 2. They can evolve into them kind of like weirdly.
Right.
So, and energies don't matter. You just have like the energy cost for your attacks. You just attach them and go. It's a really interesting concept. They're extremely fast battles. But it looks like they're doing some new stuff. So they got the 4-person TCG Raid, which is a fully cooperative game in which groups of 4 players battle together against an oversized raid boss Pokemon.
That was the big thing they were supposed to be doing a couple years ago, right? That never really.
Yeah, with those 4-piece cards.
Yeah,
they had the Pikachu, Morpeko, Mewtwo. Yeah, I never actually saw what happened with those. So
I think COVID,
this might be it,
and they kind of died. I think that's basically what happened.
But that seems to be it. So, I mean, there's a lot of events. There's a lot of things to do with the badge. Obviously, there's some cool stuff to do without the badge, but the badge required stuff is way cooler than the non-badge required stuff.
Of course.
So, I mean, overall, I think this world's experience is going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to all the content creators that, come out and put out their videos and make their shorts and their series and all that. Like, it's going to be really fun to watch. I enjoy watching a lot of the regional events and international championships, the ICs, but like watching the Worlds in Japan last year was just way above everything else. So I can't wait to see what they do with Hawaii. I feel like it's going to be even better.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where it sucks, being on the sidelines, type of deal, because there's going to be so many cool, unique opportunities for in-person only. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, like the drone show and all that kind of stuff is going to be so one-off, to where being in person is the only way to experience it, which is really cool for everyone who's going. So definitely take advantage, try to soak in as much of it as you can, because next thing you know, you'll be heading back home and it'll all be over. That's just how it goes. So definitely try to take as much of it in, however you want to do that.
Soak up the beach life too, because if you're from the Midwest like I am, you come back home and a month later you're going to be hitting snow again. So enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you figure Hawaii alone is so much of a destination that adding this in is just, it's so much to soak in, especially if you've never been to Hawaii. So I'm sure it's almost like overwhelming, you know, like it'll just go by so fast, probably, which is unfortunate. But yeah, it's going to be such a cool thing, just overall. You know, so hopefully you make the most of it if you're going. Hopefully you set aside a good amount of money, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things that draw in your attention to want to buy it. So
yep,
good
events
luck.
like this, you have to come prepared with spending money, or else you're gonna leave an unhappy camper.
Yeah, or just fly there and don't have a place to stay. You know, live out of your suitcase in the hotel lobby or something. You know, I don't know if they can kick you out or not, but
I don't know. Only one when I found out, right?
Right. So, but yeah, let us know if you are going. Do the fantasy thing. Let us know how that goes. I've submitted my picks. I went ahead and I did that while we were talking. Ren pretty much talked me through most of the cards.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have not done mine yet, so I will be doing that very shortly. But I will be putting that in, and then probably when the actual world event starts, I'll probably do another short video where I just go over my fantasy team picks, and then you guys can all comment your fantasy team picks. So we can just kind of see how we all do together. So
yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be something. That'll be a fun video. Especially if you put it, say, like the day the event starts. That way, like technically you can't edit your team anymore or anything.
yes.
We could all drop comments on the video with like what we chose, maybe why. I blindly chose my VGC ones because I was like, bro, I don't know.
It's gonna make me mad when somebody like him wins too. Just been like, oh, that card looks cool. Let me slap that down there. Oh, this one sounds cool. Let me just put that one in there.
Yeah.
I'll be sorely disappointed if all my TCG picks, at the very least, fail. VGC, I know nothing about. So
yeah, for sure. But that'll be cool. That'll be cool if we can see it. Maybe someone has the winning, the Arcanine plush winnings, and it's just the meta. Maybe they know what's going down. Like I said, in theory, especially for the TCG, you could always try to reach out to some of the top dogs and be like, "Hey, what you running?" And get the inside scoop before everything goes live. But good luck getting them to respond.
I'm gonna assist all of you. Most people watching this are probably already know because they follow the competitive scene. But just look at the most recent tournaments, especially the American tournaments. I'm not saying the overseas ones don't matter, but you're gonna probably have a good, healthy 50-60% of the people there are probably going to be Americans or Canadians, where they all kind of play the same decks, where overseas in Japan and stuff, they tend to play some different decks. But look at who are some of these people who are going to go, look at what they play and how their play style is if you really want to get an edge, because that can really help you determine what decks they're all going to be playing. And if you have somebody who you think is going to be a top dog like Tord, or maybe even like Azul GG, look at what they're comfortable with playing and follow their accounts to see what they're going to be playing in these tournaments. And I would put cards that you think whoever's going to win, I would pick what they're going to do.
When you go through it's pretty limiting. So like it's not like it's like, oh, here's thousands of cards to choose from.
Yeah,
so it's not that overwhelming. So it is kind of easy. And the same thing, honestly, with the VGC side. I think your wild card pick in the VGC side, once you see Ren, you'll understand. But all of you watching, same thing. It's a lot more open because I think it's like national decks at that point, which, that's still only like 1,000, and it obviously takes out everything you've already chosen. So, there's 5 off the board already, which leaves you with like 1,003. But
well, I can't help you on that side either, because I don't know people except for like Wolfie. I think he's the only one I know of that plays VGC competitively. He's like a content creator, so go look him up too if you want to. But I don't really know anything else on the VGC side, which seems like it's going to probably be the determining factor of who actually makes the top 100. Who knows both sets, the TCG and VGC. So,
well, no, remember you only get one or the other. You don't get both.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I was thinking for some reason they still combine your points together. So, all right. Well, in that case, I hope you all lose and I win.
Now the tiebreaker is at the end. So when you submit your point thing or your final submission, it says in the final match like how much damage will be done or how much of this.
Oh, so you have to predict. Interesting.
Yeah, you have to predict an actual score basically, and that's what gets kind of wild. And they do that in fantasy too, like not actual fantasy football, but if you're predicting in the sports aspect, they'll do like base like game predictions every week.
Yeah, what the final score is, or
it'll be like
how many total points.
Yeah, something like that is kind of like a tiebreaker, because obviously people could have picked the same thing. Like if me and Ren went through, I could follow exactly what he does. So what distinguishes us is different. Now, obviously, I don't know what they would do if we submitted the exact same thing, points and everything. We both win.
Split the Arcanine in half and give us each a half.
I want the butt.
I'm not even going to ask questions on that. That's fine. You can have the butt.
Okay, cool.
That just seems very questionable, but I hope you guys enjoyed this awesome TCG talk. We brought Grumpy back on, and I'm hoping that we have lots of future TCG talks here. I think we've already talked about some we want to do in the future. So if you guys enjoy the content, if you like more of this podcast style content, you want me to bring it back, make sure you smash that like button, comment below that you enjoy this, and even for other people you want to have on, let me know down below. We can always have Grumpy and somebody else on too. So,
or just them if you don't like me.
Yeah, or we just kick Grumpy off if you guys don't like Grumpy. That's completely fine. No, we like Grumpy here. But that's all we have time for today. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys for the Pokemon Worlds in Honolulu.
Yeah,
but not from Honolulu. That's all.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Peace.
Peace.